Well, also with me to talk about this, Douglas Herbert. And Doug, look, why is it now, after 15 months of war, that it does seem the two sides are closer than ever to that deal?
Yeah, a number of things are happening, Nadia. There's no one set explanation. You have political and military reasons here. So look at the political first. Like the obvious elephant in the room is the incoming presidency of Donald Trump. Less than a week now, he will be the U.S. president. But even before coming in, he has basically, tweeted in all capitals, all hell would break loose unless the hostages were released before he's sworn in on January 20th, next Monday. That's obviously a political imperative, because what does he mean by all hell will break loose? Well, if you're Hamas hearing that, you might mean that it's basically going to be, open house. It's already been, for Hamas from the Israeli perspective, they've had quite a lot of license to wage this campaign as they please. And basically not often not heeding the cautionary advice of the Biden administration, trying to say, hold your fire, draw back a little bit. They've gone pretty much full throttle through a lot of this. But if Trump comes in, there's a sense that Netanyahu might have a ticket to do what he wants. All hell will break loose. But at the same time, a lot of the Israeli far right were overjoyed by Donald Trump's victory. They saw him as, their man in the White House. The far right, the settler movement. They said, great thing, great coming of Donald Trump. And yet not so fast, perhaps, because we always say Donald Trump is a transactional president. He's not so ideological. He's not wedded to anyone just for the sake of being wedded to a particular group. So that means he might not be as much of a friend to the far right and the settlers and those who want to say perhaps occupy and build houses in Gaza. He has wider interests in the region. He wants to normalize ties with Saudi Arabia. He has big, ambitions for the entire Middle East. Israel's just part of that transaction. So, yeah, while he's a friend to Israel, and he's made that very clear, his friendship with Israel only goes so far as his ambitions and his transactional, tactics go. So there's that, but also within his own military. That is Benjamin Netanyahu's military. How much more can they do in Gaza? They basically, his own officers have, reportedly been saying to him quite a bit, Mr. Prime Minister, there's limited, what can we do more in Gaza to decimate it? It's been decimated time and again, and we're still losing soldiers by the day, often by the day, and this can't go on. So he's facing the political imperative of a Donald Trump presidency looming there on the near horizon, plus within his own military, I'm not going to say it's blowback, but it is officers telling him and signaling this military campaign is limited and your goal to eliminate and destroy Hamas is a little bit unrealistic.
And look, Doug, if the deal is confirmed, do we know yet what the substance of it will be?
Yeah. Well, we know the substance of it because it's very similar, according to all the reports and those who claim to have seen, drafts of this agreement, with the details still to be hammered out, to what's been negotiated in the past in May and over the summer when those deals floundered at the last minute when each side devolved into mutual recrimination. What it's going to be is a phase. It's going to be in phases, so 1, 2, and 3. And in a first phase, you're going to have the number being bandied about right now in the draft agreement, I think, is around 33 hostages, Israeli hostages, being released in the very beginning. Israeli, mostly women and children in that first phase, men over 50, I believe, wounded and sick. And then you are going to have also the Israeli troops forces partially withdrawing from central parts of Gaza to more of the border, the periphery areas. And you're going to have alongside both of that a surge, as they call it, a surge in humanitarian aid. At least 600 trucks a day coming in. Remember, 500 was, I believe, the norm before the war. So that's a real surge in humanitarian aid. And then that's going to be up to 60 days, perhaps, that first phase. It's going to be 2 more phases, which will involve more withdrawing of Israeli troops. And as hostages release, Israelis are going to release numerous multiples of Palestinian prisoners that they're holding in Israeli jails, up to, anywhere from, say, 30 to 50 Palestinian prisoners per hostage release. And the final phase is the rebuilding, the governance, coming up with the plan, what we were listening to Antony Blinken speak about earlier.
Thank you very much, Douglas Herbert, for us there.